We're literally being told right now that we cannot have a sign, "Do you feel free to speak," at a public park, at a public event. I can't.
So with us today, we have Laura Bean, and I just was watching one of your YouTube videos. You did this, you're at a park in St. George, Utah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And they just shut you down. You had a sign on you, and you were just asking people what they thought about free speech, and all of a sudden they kicked you out. So I wanted to talk to you about that. But
Yeah.
before we talk to you about that, just real quick, I made a little short clip of your longer video. It's not, your original is not that long, a couple minutes, but I just for this interview, I wanted to just do a short version real quick, and then I'll link the full version in the video, and then we'll go over that.
Okay.
And
We're just asking people, do you feel free to speak?
I love it. Yeah, I like it. You like free speech?
Are there certain topics that you feel more strongly about?
You can't have that in the market. That sign, a poster. Yep. Just following rules.
Oh. We're literally being told right now that we cannot have a sign, "Do you feel free to speak," at a public park, at a public event. I cannot believe this is actually happening. And I'm just
Do you have just a minute we can chat with you?
I'm going to stay right here on the public sidewalk.
Well, the farmer's market has reserved this area. And if you're not here with the farmer's market, then just as long as you're outside the farmer's market.
I'm going to stay in the public areas where the public are
This one's not-
invited.
This one's not public.
This
is a sidewalk.
No, this is the farmer's market.
This is the farmer's market.
This is a public sidewalk.
Hi, Laura.
How's it going?
You're being trespassed from the farmer's market, so you need to leave.
Well, I'm only going to leave under threat of arrest.
You want to be arrested?
No. I will leave under threat of
You need
arrest.
to leave, or else you'll be cited or arrested.
Okay, and what's your name?
Stan Thompson.
Are you threatening to arrest me as well if I don't leave?
Laura, you need to leave. You going to leave or no?
Well, yeah, under threat of arrest, I will leave.
Okay, go.
okay, so I just thought that was just crazy that you're at a public place, a public park, at an event that's open to the public, and you're doing nothing more than holding a sign that says, "Do you feel free to speak?" And somehow the farmers market people, I always thought the farmers market was put on by the city. Are they claiming that it was a private enterprise that was putting it on? Or, I mean, just seems weird that they would say you can't hold a sign. That, like, what if you were just saying, you were holding a sign saying, advertising a photography business, or, "Hey, check out my fruit stand over there." Well, so just kind of give us some background of what led you to being there. What did you see what happened to lead people to call to have you removed from the park? And then what's happened since then? What's going on?
Sure. I mean, I've been meaning to do kind of what you do a podcast. I really love watching First Amendment auditing videos and man on the street type videos, Charlie Kirk videos, and I've been inspired to do that myself. And so I've just been kind of afraid to do that. And once Charlie, that whole thing when he was assassinated because people didn't like what he said, that really touched me and hurt me in a deep way. It was really, really hard to see that. It affected me. And it caused me to want to do what I feel inspired to do. And then I heard about this public event, and down here it was called Dixie Days. It was put on by the city. This actually was a city event. So this was a little unique.
It was a government event at a public park, at a city.
100%.
Okay.
Yes. So the normal farmers market, according to the city's own rules, is different because they claim they have their own, basically private property rights when they have the permit. But on this occasion, it was put on by the city. All the advertisement shows that it's done through the St. George City. So my friend and I, we got a good camera, got a little sign I was just going to interview people. That's it. I was just going to ask people, ironically, about the freedom of speech. And I was doing it in a public place, at a public event where there'd be people. That's it. And so my sign was held in my left hand, I believe, and it said, "Do you feel free to speak?" I prayed about it. I prayed about what to say on my sign, and that's what I came up with. That's what I felt like I was inspired to say. And we were walking around the park, just having conversations and recording them. And then, well, the first thing that happened, I don't know if you saw it in the video, but a really angry woman that was a vendor came up and screamed at us saying we're not allowed to have signs or posters, especially about political things, and
Free speech
just
is
really
political?
upset that. Well, she said you can't have anything political, and
How is
my
free
friend was
speech
like,
political? Which party is that?
exactly, and it was the irony is it wasn't political at all. But even if it was, that should be okay
Well, sure,
too.
yeah, it should be, but it wasn't. So it's like she's just
Yeah.
wrong both ways.
She was completely wrong. So she was really the only like hyper part of the whole thing, her and her daughter. But then the farmers market administrators came over and let me know you're not supposed to have a sign. You're not supposed to have a sign at the farmers market. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And so I was like, okay, fine. I'll just go to the public sidewalk because I know I can be on a public sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
It's a public sidewalk. Like if you haven't studied that, any of the viewers haven't studied the precedent that has been set on public sidewalks. I've done, it's not my first rodeo. I've done many a vaccine rally, and we always make sure to be on the public sidewalk. We always make sure to be out of everyone's way and, not cause a disturbance, because I know that, that's the law. So I got on the public sidewalk, walked around the public sidewalk, interviewing people, still just walking. And by the way, it is the only public sidewalk in that part of the park. Somebody was saying it was just a special sidewalk in the interior, and no, it is the only sidewalk.
That's like these free speech zones that they come up with. I'm like,
well,
the First Amendment doesn't give a zone.
So,
it says that Congress can't make any restrictions, let alone have a zone.
Correct. And that's, when all was said and done, that's what the city attorney led me to believe, that they have it. Basically, he pointed out, I know I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah.
He pointed out which code that I could read, which city ordinance I could read that I did wrong, that I disobeyed. Mm-hmm. And I read the whole code, and they recently updated it September 2025, which I find interesting.
Is that before or after your event?
Same time. I don't know.
It was like just right, the simultaneous guy.
It pretty much, it seems like it.
Okay.
And it was clear this was written by the attorneys, maybe just him, and not the city council members, because they didn't know jack. They don't know crap. I asked them about this, and they were all like, I know there's a thing in the codes that says something about, not protesting. And I am like, what? And so I read the code, and it said nothing about that. It didn't say anything about not having a sign. It didn't say anything about not being allowed to protest unless I missed something. It did refer to a free speech zone. Yeah, you're right.
Insane.
It did refer to an area being the free speech zone. Anyway, so when I was on the public sidewalk, one of the officers, I think his name was Sam Despain, came over and said, the farmer's market is asking you to leave because you have a sign.
Who's
and I
the
said,
farmer's
respectfully,
market?
I'm on the public.
Is there a Mr.
What?
Or is there a Mr. or Mrs. Farmer's Market? Like, who is that?
I know their first names is Kat and Ashley. That's all
But
I
if
know.
it's a city event, doesn't that mean like the city's asking you to leave?
Yeah, but they don't know. They're like this. They don't know that it's no, nobody's in charge. Nobody knows the laws. Nobody knows what they're doing, clearly.
Right.
So, but what they've been told, and the officers were very bold. They were very emboldened. You can tell they've had conversations about this,
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't the first time I've had this kind of interaction actually with these ladies. And you can tell they've been trained what to say, and on, they're just obeying orders,
Right.
on the rules that they're supposed to follow, which is whomever has a permit at that special event gets to make whatever rules they want. So if I was Black and they didn't want Black people there, they could kick me out. So this gets to the crux of the issue, I believe.
You have like these picnic tables and barbecues at parks, and you'll have a family reserve it for a birthday party, and they just want it private for their family. That makes sense.
Right.
That's reasonable. Right. You're just reserving an area for a certain amount of time. But this is, like you said, but this is totally different. This isn't a private family having a birthday party or a barbecue.
Exactly.
This is the city putting on a farmer's market at a public place. So
even if it wasn't the city putting it on, it's a public event where the public is invited on public property. It's not a private event. Right. And they can't claim it's a private event when they invite the public.
Right.
So yes, it's a big deal that the city put it on, but also it shouldn't matter at the same time because it's a public event.
Right.
So that's the interesting thing that has happened. Oh, okay, so let me rewind. So he asked me to leave. I respectfully declined because I know I have the right to stay on a public sidewalk as long as I'm not disturbing, acting disorderly.
Yeah, you're not out there swearing or stripping down or doing lewd things.
I mean, even if I was swearing, that is freedom of speech.
Sure,
but yes, I was not. I was not doing
being upset by it. I mean,
sure. And if my poster said something lewd or I don't know, pornographic, I can understand that. But my sign didn't have anything like that. So then 5 minutes later or so, 2 more officers came over, and I really should have asked for their supervisor, but in the moment, when the adrenaline's going, you have these officers that can kill you.
Yep.
If you do make a wrong move. It's unnerving and it's scary. Yeah. And they're willing to put a woman who's standing on a sidewalk with a poster in shackles.
Right.
And a cage. They're willing to do that.
Yeah.
These people. It's really terrifying. It's really terrifying. And they would have no discussion. But I continued to clarify, I will only leave under threat of arrest. I will only leave under threat of arrest. And they concurred. Yes, you will leave under threat of arrest.
We'd be glad to.
And I got them to admit that they would be willing to arrest me if I didn't leave.
Wow.
So I left. And the crux of the matter is what I was talking about before is it went from I was disobeying city code, which I wasn't because there's nothing in the city code that says anything like that, to, now it's you're trespassing because they get to make whatever rules they want to make. Right. So if you were Black or Jewish or wore a purple shirt and they had special rules that you couldn't be any of those things or wear a purple shirt, then they could use the power, the tool of tyranny, their officers with guns, to have somebody put in jail and arrested for disobeying their special rules and not wanting to leave a public place.
Right.
Because somehow this turns magically private, and they have magical private property rights for the few hours that they have that event. Right. And again, going back to the idea of it being a private event, every single lawyer, and the lawyer knows he's wrong about the sidewalk, by the way. You can tell he's like, that's a tricky one. City councilors, everybody I've discussed this with, always uses the private event story as, well, let's pretend you're having a party. Let's pretend you're having a wedding. Let's pretend you're having a birthday party.
Right.
No, you can't keep talking about this being a private event. That's apples and oranges.
Right.
This was a public event.
And it's not like,
and at the end of the day,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, go ahead.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the officers were in the wrong. The city is in the wrong.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
So let's just kind of playing devil's advocate, right?
Sure.
You're at this public event that is a farmer's market. And at the farmer's market, there's individuals with their individual booths where they're selling their fruits, their art, all kinds of different things at a farmer's market, right? So
yeah,
in this situation, were they claiming that you were blocking the ability for someone to engage in business because you were in front of their booth and stopping people from getting in their booth?
They weren't even saying that. All they were saying is that I was holding a sign and I wasn't supposed to hold a sign.
You weren't supposed to hold a sign.
That's it. They weren't even saying that I was protesting. Like the big argument is all the city councilors and city attorney was like, well, clearly you were protesting, Laura, and you're not allowed to protest in these certain areas. And even the claimant who made the phone call to the police did not claim that I was protesting.
Right.
So that argument just totally was dissolved. And that's why the attorney moved the goalposts. The next conversation he had
Isn't that
with me
amazing how
like,
they're allowed to do that?
oh yeah.
They can
Oh
just
yeah.
change the rules as it goes along.
And you know what? You know what they're using? They're using a Supreme Court case, New Hampshire versus Cox, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe it's New Jersey. That essentially says the government has time, place, and manner. They can control certain things, time, place, and manner. But I wish I had it on me right now. But in the actual verbiage, it says to create that time, place, and manner and have them kind of overrule your Bill of Rights, your 10th Amendment Bill of Rights, liberties.
Yeah.
It has to be a very important, it basically has to be incredibly necessary.
Right.
And there is nothing to necessitate. In fact, you know what I kept asking? So now the same issue has come up in the county with their county building as well. So same exact issue, both in the county and the city, when there's a public event on public property. Shoot, I just lost my thought.
Well, and that's the thing that they try to do. But the First Amendment's very clear that it says Congress shall make no law. Now, of course, you have a strict interpretation that says, well, that only applies to the general government and doesn't apply to the states or the cities. But the state of Utah, its constitution says that it is in compliance with the Constitution. And so in the state of Utah
right.
specifically, we have established that the Bill of Rights, Congress shall make no law, meaning that no city or state shall make a law that can abridge your freedom of speech. And so again,
right.
those limits would be, lewdness, doing things in front of children that aren't appropriate. But in general, especially because this was the opposite of lewdness, it was a simple sign about how do you feel about speech. It wasn't like saying this is how I feel about speech. It was simply asking a question, and there was
right.
no way, shape, or form that could be interpreted to be something that the government would even have any sort of interest in limiting.
And you can tell they were very careful to say, or rather not say, that it had anything to do with the content of my sign, because that's a clear violation.
Right.
I mean, that's like obvious, but so is what happened to me. It's pretty obvious
Right.
to me as well. But the same thing happened in the county building, by the way, just at the Charlie Kirk event 2 nights ago, Monday night.
Yeah.
My friend was standing in front of the building sitting on a bench with his wife, and he had a sign that said something about honoring Charlie Kirk and that he wouldn't have liked the speakers that are at the event. And the officers threatened to arrest him if he didn't walk away 40 feet. But again, he was on public property, sidewalk near the entrance. And they make the same claim.
So
and the
they're just
claim
working in
is
silence because they know that 40 feet will make it harder for individuals that are going to the event.
It's a power move.
Yeah.
At that point, it's a power move. We want you to move 40 feet. You know what, too? The same thing happened to me at the Republican convention back in May. We were handing out flyers on a public sidewalk. Here we go. In front of UVU, where the convention was being held. And the head of the Republican Party sicked the sheriff, the Utah County Sheriff, on me and my friend that were passing out flyers. And he did the same move. You have to move.
Yeah.
It was probably 50 feet to that end of the sidewalk.
Yeah. And Utah County Sheriff, he's no friend of liberty, even though it's a more conservative area of Utah. It was under his leadership that the sheriff's department did a no-knock raid on my home
on you
in an attempt to kill me.
He is, I'm just going to say, I think he's evil. I think he's so evil. I could just feel it in his demeanor.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, but
Sure.
it really, what really makes me upset and disappointed is I've not received one, sorry that happened, Laura. I'm a Republican Party chair in my precinct. I was there as a delegate. No apology. No, like, we shouldn't have done that. We should be the party of free speech. No. They wanted to make sure that I knew that I was being checked, and that they have more power than I do, and that I needed to move the 40, 50 feet off the sidewalk.
And 40,
It's
50
just
feet, that's like
unbelievable.
such a minimal distance. It's insane that
It's
they would
insane.
even care
It's
about
literally
that.
insane.
Like you said, it's a
There,
power
there,
move as
there's
opposed to actually, doing anything. It's just them
yes,
being a bully.
yeah, and we can't stand for this, you guys. If someone as small and mousy as me can stand up to these bullies, anybody can do it. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. I barely know the few things I've learned from, like, watching videos on First Amendment auditing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It doesn't take a lot of strength, of knowledge, of power to just say no to a bully. And we need to do that. There needs to be thousands of me's.
Oh,
Thousands
yeah.
of
We all
me.
need to be being willing to pay that price. I mean, it's not even that, big of a price, but it's, if the founding
Right.
fathers were willing to do what they did, we can be threatened to, be told to
Absolutely.
move 50 feet.
Yeah.
And the thing that
Absolutely.
it illustrates to me is that we have a lot of people out there saying that the bad apples in the police, they're the exceptions to the rule. But when we see the implementation of tyranny,
Mhm.
there is never a cop that actually defies an illegal order
Mhm.
or an immoral order and says, you know what, I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
Every single time you have the police saying, well, that's, I want to keep my job. That's for the courts to decide. I'm just here to follow orders. The
100%.
tyranny wouldn't exist
100%.
without tyranny enforcers.
Yeah. Yeah, they clearly feel very secure in obeying the orders from above, from the city.
Mm-hmm.
The police department is doing an internal investigation on themselves. So fun when people
I
investigate
wonder if that would work
themselves.
for me. I can just investigate myself
But I'm
and
grateful.
turn in the report to the police department and say,
Right.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Right. I'm innocent. I investigated myself, and I'm innocent. But I do appreciate that they're taking my letters seriously, because I have sent letters to both the police department and the city council. City council hasn't really responded,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And I'm having a hard time getting a hold of anybody on the city council.
They're just so busy.
I've only been able to
so
talk
much
to
to
the
do.
city attorney. I guess so. I did send a cease and desist letter or order to the city attorney. I feel like that's ground zero. Right there is the city attorney, because everyone defers to the attorneys.
The attorneys or
The
the
lawyers run
city
everything.
managers and city attorneys, just they get to be the
You
catch-all
know what?
because,
No one's mentioned that.
well, just in general,
No
maybe
one's
not in this
mentioned.
case, but in general cases, what they
Yeah.
always like to do is to pawn it off on somebody that's not elected. Like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. It was the attorneys, it was this, that, or
100%.
the other. And that's their department. Sorry, there's nothing I can do to help you out.
Well, and one thing I'd like to mention too is, okay, Biden administration shut down and basically told Twitter and Facebook, Meta, who to censor, how to censor, vaccine misinformation, all that stuff. The city is doing the same thing here. The attorney doesn't want to believe in my claim that this is all being done from the mayor. I believe it's the mayor, but really it's the whole city council.
Sure.
She is on record. This farmers market has been in a scandal situation many, many times in the past. This isn't a new thing. This farmers market has had a lot of issues. And when I was there maybe two years ago plus, the mayor made a very, very strong point to the whole crowd. Our farmers market will never be a place of controversy. We don't want political things happening at our farmers market. It needs to be a neutral zone. That was the edict. That's what she basically told the farmers market to adhere to and to apply to. And so they're basically letting these private organizations do the dirty work of the city because the city knows that it can't violate people's First Amendment. But it does violate people's First Amendment when they tell these private organizations how to behave,
right,
and who to kick out of what kind of people to kick out of their events.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's scary.
So, and the like these types of, so you're like, you weren't even protesting, which I think is just amazing. It was simply a sign that was asking a question, and you were talking to people, and and you were asking them a question, and you weren't like, from the video, you weren't like pushing your mic or the camera in somebody's face. It was just like, if somebody wanted to walk by and answer your question, they could do so. But the other thing is that this is clearly the government's attack on free speech, and it's a continued attack on free speech. If
100%.
If folks remember, in the state of Utah, I think other places as well, during the fake pandemic, the height of the fake pandemic, 2020, 2021, people were going to government officials' homes because they knew that just writing them a sternly written letter wasn't going to do anything. They wanted to, as Thomas Jefferson says, when the government fears the people, there is liberty. And so they went to their homes to not, they didn't even go as far as what the colonists did. They just got in front of these guys' houses and said, we don't like what you're doing, please stop. And the state legislature, so the unified legislature with conservative so-called heroes voting for these bills, said that you were not allowed to protest in front of government officials' homes. And that is still in the books today. And so they have no qualms with...
They can't do that.
Well, you can't. I mean, it's totally illegal. And so what we need to do, and like with your case, what people need to do is we need to, especially when they say not to, when they say you don't have free speech here, here's this zone for you, we have to say no. We nullify. And we interpose, and we stand between the tyrant and those that are being abused by the tyrant. And we say this far and no further, and we're going to go on the offense, and we're going to take this back. You do not have any rights as a government official. It's the people that have rights. We have delegated a job for you to do, but you don't have rights as a government official. We have the rights, and we are going to defend them against those that would want to take them away. And so it's really, really important that folks see your story and know about the history of what's been done in other areas, either to stand up for freedom or how governments have really done a crackdown against free speech. And it's not, and this isn't like people disturbing a meeting, disrupting anything, stopping commerce. This is simply people voicing their opinions in a respectful manner, in a way that doesn't disturb any of those things. And so people need to stand up, look at what people have done in the history. So just real quick, as we wrap things up, Laura, what are the next steps with what you're doing with this? Is this situation kind of dead and you're just going to move on to the next free speech audit, or what's going on?
No, I'm like a dog gripping down on its bone or something. There's no way I'm letting this go. I can't. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm doing steps every week. I'm trying to handle it diplomatically, but it does seem like the powers that be do not want a discussion. All they ever want to do is justify and obey the attorney, whomever that attorney might be. So it's clear this needs to be pushed. And so what's the next step? I think, for one, there needs to be several next steps. There needs to be like 100 or more of me showing up to a farmer's market anywhere in town with a sign about this big, just a sign that says anything.
Yeah. God
loves me. I don't know. And just walk through the farmer's market with a little sign. Just anybody can do that. I know that might seem cheesy, but I think these little moves. I just watched Truth and Treason yesterday. All that kid did was make little pamphlets. That's it. And it was like some bold, like, treasonous thing, apparently, that he did that got him killed.
Why were they afraid of it, right? It shows you their weakness. And I think that's great. To me, that's that same thing that you bring out, is it shows their fear. So if you've got a little sign that says, what do you feel about speech? You just hold it out there, and somebody comes up to you and tries to throw you. it's showing them the tyranny. And so it might seem small what you're doing,
Yeah.
but the response shows you how big a problem that the powers that shouldn't be have with free speech.
And I just want to interject one more thing because I just remembered this. I have to keep asking myself because they seem to be sticking their neck out to violate
Yeah.
basic civil rights. And I keep asking, why? Why? Why are they doing this? These are people that claim the Constitution. We love the Constitution. No, you don't. No, the freak you don't. So I just, nobody can answer that question. Nobody.
Yeah.
So another thing I'm doing several FOIA requests, or in Utah we call them grandma requests. I've already got the body cam and the incident number and the police officers' names. I'm going to file a claim against their bonds, of course, their surety bonds. But I'm going to ask in a FOIA request, show me all the incidences in the last 10 years where an individual has disturbed an event, and it was a really big problem that they, I don't know, were protesting at a private birthday party or something. I need to figure out how to word that. But
Yeah.
how many times has this happened in St. George, Utah, to the point that they need to violate our civil liberties?
Yep.
I'm gonna guess it's not that many. I'm gonna guess it's near zero, but we'll find out. We'll find out to see how many incidences like something crazy like that it took to violate people's civil liberties. Because we live in a supposedly so conservative and free speech type place, but we don't. The people say they're free speech, but I guess we'll find out if they really are. So go to a public place, especially farmers markets, especially anything city government, quasi-government. Go inside the buildings, have a sign, video record, just stress test. That's my ask. Please stress test the First Amendment. Stress test the Second Amendment. Open carry.
Yep.
Everywhere you go. That'd be another one. But my specific focus is the First Amendment. So I would ask people that please, in your way, please stress test the First Amendment. Then I am clearly going to need to sue the city. I don't see any other option at this point because diplomatically nothing is being done. So I'm probably going to need to file a lawsuit, and it's sad. It's sad that it takes that kind of effort.
Well, I think
when you
don't have to sue when you have everybody standing up and just claiming their rights. Yeah. And so I think it's important, like you said, to have more people doing this, because if we had more people doing this, then there was nothing that they could do to stop you. And I think that's
exactly
very important.
And how we start that movement, I don't know. That's tricky because it is hard to get people, as you I'm sure know. It is hard to get the people that have the right heart, that have the right education, that understand the issue, to actually show up when it matters.
Yep.
But
that's what we hope to do. We've done it before. Yeah. We opened up restaurants that were shut down during the fake pandemic. We had people show up to the state capitol when they said you couldn't have meetings with more than 10 people. And so,
there's been people winning lawsuit after lawsuit, by the way, on those cases that were clear violations.
And we don't need that because we just took our rights, and we don't need to beg them. We don't need to ask the criminal to see if his buddy criminal violated our rights. The most effective and the quickest way and the cheapest way is to just exercise our rights. So I really appreciate, Laura, you being willing to do that and you sharing your story with us. Please keep us posted, and we'll have you on again as this progresses. But also our viewers, please make sure that you are following what we're doing here, and to be able to get the updates as things happen. So make sure you don't miss anything by subscribing to this and sharing these videos so that more people can have the courage to stand up and do the right thing. So thank you, Laura. Appreciate your time.
Boom. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks. See you all next time.